blue skies cool. They seduce us, pulling us irresistibly upwards, reminding us to fly our own line, on our wings, and in life. We are the seekers, adventurers, being one with the air, feeling everything and nothing at once. That's the magic we chase. Follow the call. Find your pure, wild flight with NZ Aerosports.
Of course, I absolutely love the NZ Aerosports business model. I mean, come on. One glance at an Icarus fuck yeah sticker and you know it lines up perfectly with the fucking pilot mentality. But outside their wonderful use of colorful language and a great company vibe, there's a long list of reasons to say NZ Aerosports fuck yeah. NZ Aerosports blows me away right out of the gate as a canopy manufacturer with a bold offer. They give you 10 jumps on your brand new nylon to decide if you want to keep it, swap it out, or even return it for a refund. I mean, seriously, how incredible is that? That's like getting halfway through a prom and deciding you prefer the slightly racier date that goes down faster. Seriously, they do that. If you're not madly in love with your new canopy after 10 jumps, they'll let you swap it out for another size or model, or even get your money back. And the range of canopies they've got? Man, they've got a style canopy to fit every jumper and every situation with models you know and trust, like the Sapphire 3, the perfect choice for the beginner or intermediate canopy pilot. The Crossfire 3, when you're ready to kick it up that elliptical notch. The JFX 2, if you're looking to up your new swoop game. The Leia as the workhorse and dirtwater dirt beast. Or the Petra. The Petra cranks out crazy power and is nothing short of a record breaker. But hey, it's not always about speed either. Take the Kraken. Built as a low pack volume canopy specifically with wingsuiting in mind, she gives you all the performance you're looking for with the reliability you need that'll have you itching for that next formation, rodeo, or puffy cloud. So the equipment is top-of-the-line kick-ass stuff as you already know, but how about the team? Well, the customer service gang is there to sort you out whenever you need them. Maddie and Beto are always there to help with Jen holding the reins. They're available for you at sales@nzaerosports.com, and they've got a kick-ass live chat tool on the website if you're wanting to hit someone up right away. These are the crew you're going to want to talk to get those custom orders in. With the stock nylon, once you know what you want, they'll have that shit on a FedEx truck as soon as the credit card machine says approved and get you in the air in no time. For your custom orders, you'll be able to get a time frame for building and shipping when you design it, so get to it. And demos. They've got demos in the US available from their partner Rock Sky Market. The whole US demo fleet is there with Sapphire 3, Crossfire 3, Kraken, JFX2, and Leia canopies in a range of sizes. They also offer student and tandem demos in the US. Bottom line, every step of the way, NZ Aerosports is there to get you what you need, and I personally couldn't be happier to be teamed up with them here on Lunatic Fringe. And now, time to get started with Lunatic Fringe Into the Void, brought to you proudly by NZ Aerosports. Fuck yeah!
Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go! Back in the can for another edition of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void, and has gotten to be my habit now. I'm just going to dive straight into it and get right to this next personality. Please tell me, who the hell are you and what do you do?
Well, of course, who the hell am I? It goes along with my line dance, which I teach a song, Who the Hell is Alice? But I'm Alice Hicks, just probably the oldest lady for sure here in Arizona jumping. My husband and I, and we're full-time RVers, so we spend our winters in Arizona jumping.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, it's kind of funny that you mentioned line dancing, because in doing a little research before you and I started talking, I'd see the posts always, don't forget, tonight's line dancing. So yes. Clearly that's something that you and your husband enjoy quite a lot.
Yes, well, my husband never got into line dancing. He's an excellent dancer, but he chooses his own steps. He doesn't like them to be chosen for him. But I have, through our travels, through our RVing, I've gotten into line dancing and really, really enjoy it. So I've started classes here at Eloy and have a really super group that come every Thursday evening. And put on their boots and start dancing.
That is absolutely fantastic. And people that listen to the podcast have heard me say a million times, the varied backgrounds and things that skydivers enjoy outside of skydiving always is just wonderful and so varied. I mean, it's as different as all the people in skydiving are. So it's always cool to hear a new thing somebody's doing, and starting line dancing in Eloy is amazing.
I know. Do it right there in the hangar. And I'm just, it's amazing. The people, they come, and sometimes it's hot. We move outside and they dance on the landing area. And
oh, that's amazing. That's fantastic. That I would love to see sometime. I'd be horrible at it, but I'd love to see it.
We've got all kinds and all levels, and it's just a lot of fun with everybody.
That's fantastic. Now, in the beginning, you mentioned that you're probably the oldest lady jumping out in the Eloy, and I know it's not polite to talk about a lady's age, but you definitely are probably on the high side of the average age jumping out there. And that was actually one of the things that so impressed me. Is a mutual friend of ours, Mike McGowan, snapped an absolutely beautiful picture of you landing. And I saw it and was so impressed with the smile on your face as you were coming into land that I had to send you a message calling you a badass. Because I thought you were just an absolute badass, and I wanted to hear your story. And so I want these folks to hear your story as well. So, Alice, I want to know how you got started, first off in sport in general, but how it led you to skydiving.
Okay, I'm not sure that I was really big into sports. Unfortunately, through high school, I never made the basketball team. I was a cheerleader on the side, so I cheered people on. Went out for all things, but I was a big tomboy. And so went to country school. As you can see, with my age, I've got the old one-room country schoolhouse in my background.
Sure.
And and all I had to play with were boys. So I became the tomboy, doing whatever. And in high school, like I said, my girls' basketball team, they were state champions, and I was never good enough to follow them, but I was a cheerleader and followed them there. And then as I got out of high school, I just got into a variety of sports. I would take various classes, belly dance, if you could believe it, but sure. I never could learn to shimmy. And aerobics, and then got into running, and I did a lot of running. In fact, I'm still slowed it down, because I used to run. I've run one marathon over in Germany, and then I've done a lot of 10Ks. And right now I just kind of I run, jog 2 or 3 miles, about 3 times a week. So just to keep that. And of course, then I go to Zumba classes a couple times a week, and then I got my line dance, and so got into parachuting back in 1968.
Oh my God. That's fantastic.
It wasn't any big lightning bolt. My roommate and her boyfriend and I were sitting around. I don't even know how the subject came up, that we kind of like to jump and wonder how we could figure it out. And this was back in Wichita, Kansas.
Wow.
And so we were we lived in an apartment, and there was an ex-paratrooper there. And he said, I know where you can go and jump. He said, right out here at Mays, Kansas, which is a little suburb of Wichita. And he said, but before I take you out there, I want to teach you what you really need to know about jumping, and that's PLF. So we went out and spent an afternoon in a park jumping off of picnic tables.
Oh, that's amazing.
Learning our PLFs. And then we went out to this drop zone, and it was ran by a couple, and they had 6 kids that they raised right there on the drop zone. They pretty much ran everything. And my first jump master was a woman, which was, unusual that we had women back then. But of course, naturally, my training was learning PLFs and learning what to pull if I had a reserve ride. And that was pretty much it. So
I mean, in 1968, obviously skydiving was not nearly as prevalent as it is now. I mean, nowadays you turn on the TV or go on the computer, and half of the ads that you see anymore are someone flying a wingsuit down a mountain or crazy
Yeah.
stuff with parachutes. But in 1968, I mean, you had to go looking for it if you weren't in the military. How did that idea come across to you and your friends? I mean, did you know there was skydiving in the area?
Not really. I really don't know, and I don't know how the idea popped in our mind if we happened to see something on television or what. Church. I know when I was in college, I remember there being a skydiving club, and I thought about trying to get into it then, but I figured my parents wouldn't appreciate spending money on me to parachute while I'm
Sure.
in college, so
Sure.
never pursued that. So I really don't know where the topic came up that we just thought we'd like to skydive, and this friend, he knew where to go.
That's amazing.
And of course, you know, they were filming Gypsy Moths at the time.
Oh
For
my
anyone
God.
that knows the history of
Oh,
filming.
hell yes. Alice, that's the best skydiving movie that's ever been made, hands down. Gypsy Moth is amazing. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and a lot of people have never heard of it, but you know, a lot of the filming was in Kansas.
Wow.
And they did a lot of their filming for their jumps was at a little town airport that was Benton, Kansas, which was not a skydiving center at the time, because the skydiving was at this little town called Mays. But a few years back, a friend did open a skydiving center there at Benton, and brought it back a little bit. It didn't last too long, but
Sure. Well, just
anyway.
the history involved. Could you imagine if you know that movie saying you got to jump where Gypsy Moths was filmed?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh. So I mean, this is back when there was such a almost a folklore about skydiving. Gypsy Moths was the big thing. People were just astounded by watching these amazing things. And here you are. How old were you at the time?
24.
So 24 years old, and you're going out to do the same stuff that Gypsy Moths is doing, jumping out of airplanes. And back then, you'd have no idea. That's just what everybody saw. That's incredible.
Yeah. It was an interesting time. And of course, the big highlight of it is that at that same time in 68 is when I met my husband.
Wow.
Met him. He was jumping there at the same drop zone. And so we met, and we've been together ever since.
Since 1968, you and your husband have been together, and that's when you were both skydiving in Kansas.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah. In fact, Monday we celebrated our 52nd wedding anniversary.
Oh, my goodness. Congratulations. That is amazing. 52 years in skydiving, 52 years with the same guy.
Actually 54, because we met in 68, we got married in 70.
Wow. That's, you know, it's kind of funny. I usually am the older jumper that's telling my old stories of back in the day, but I'm not going to lie. You started jumping the year before I was born. So
I know I walk around, you know, and people ask me, because naturally, I obviously look like I have some age, because every time I walk off, people are saying, "Oh, how old are you?" you know. So I, you know, and the young people, you know, when did you start? And I tell them, because eyes get wide, because you know it's back when my husband, boyfriend at the time, you know, would get the old Air Force reject canopies, because after so many years, used or not, they would be condemned. And then we would get them and pick them up. I think at the time, maybe $7 a canopy, but they were just the round steeples. And then we would go and cut out panels, and we'd cut out our own panels, modify them ourselves to get, you know, the L figuration or the T's or whatever. And then he'd cut them and I'd sew them up on my machine.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you know, it's kind of funny. I think maybe skydiving is a little bit more unique in that we're really impressed and kind of in awe with the people that have been skydiving for as long as you have, and kind of were there as it was all just beginning and really, really kicking off. And this is the kind of sport where you don't just get to learn from people that came before you, you still get to go out and play with them. So it's so much fun. And honestly, and you would know this much better than I, this many years in the sport, it's a privilege to keep aging in skydiving. So it's a badge of honor to be your age and jumping your ass off. That's amazing.
Yes, I'm happy that I've got the health to do it. And I'm still, in with all of them. I don't feel like I'm faltering in any case. I'm not up there with the top, but I pretty much hold my own, and my landings are still really good. People that, if you talk to anybody here at the drop zone, they comment on my landings a lot.
That's awesome, though. So now I'm going to jump you back just a little bit. So you started out with that first jump. I'm assuming, of course, it was a static line.
Yes, yeah. That 5 static lines, I think, or something. And like the very first one I can remember, because I know my instructor feared I'd take a long time crawling out the plane, in my first jump and everything. And so she started getting me out early on the strut, and I crawled right out there. And so rather than let me hang out there, she had me go early. So I can't remember how far off the landing area I landed. And in those days, I wasn't a very good navigator. So I was landing on wells or landing on barbed wire fences, just about. And I wasn't a very good student, actually, because I would go out, and of course, the typical potato chip, but I would just go into a flat spin. And I'd go round and round and round and round. And then I'd finally open my canopy, and I'd be like a little kid in a swing waiting for my lines to untwist because they were all twisted. But I just thought that was the way it should be. People, even back then, would try to come in and hook up just to do a 2-way or something. But I was always spinning so much they could never get in.
Sure.
And so actually my last jump, because I jumped that one summer and then laid off for several years and then started again in 96.
Okay.
But so my last jump back then, my husband decided we'd go out hand in hand out of the plane, because he knew that if he let me go out first, I'd start spinning and he'd never get in on me.
All right.
So we were able to do a 2-way on our last jump there.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, how did your family feel about this when you're deciding to jump out of airplanes? I mean, we're talking about a bunch of years ago when skydiving and crazy stuff like that wasn't, what would they say, wasn't ladylike, I guess, back in the day? Or was it finally getting to the point where women were like, pardon my French, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want?
Well, I pretty much did my own thing. And of course, I was working, and I'm not sure that my father had much to say. My mother, she was always into new things. So she was really excited about the fact that I was jumping. And then when I started again she would come out and watch me all the time, because she just thought it was really fascinating.
Sure.
So I really didn't have any negative from them on it. Good. Just from other people,
So now you did a bunch of jumps and decided to take the time off, and obviously in between all of that, you got married. And what else did you do between stopping jumping and starting jumping again? Were you working and traveling, or?
Yeah, I'm a retired school teacher, school counselor. So I taught 30 years in Wichita school system and 2 years over in Germany.
Wow. Now, how did Germany come about?
I just wanted to do it, and I got a job as a DODS teacher, which, teaching the dependents of military over there.
Okay.
And so I was able to get a sabbatical leave from my school there in Wichita, and so I went over and spent 2 years with my family, because it was a good time. My husband was retired. The kids were teenagers. So I thought it was a good time for us to go.
Nice.
So we all went and spent a couple of years in Germany, and I taught there.
Nice.
And of course, did that like I said, taught for 32 years. And I started jumping before I ended my teaching. So I would take my parachutes and show the kids. But my husband's a pilot also, and he has all the ratings, instructors, and everything. And so I was his first student. So I got my pilot's license. And I would take my school kids flying, something I wouldn't think of doing now. But back then, I would take the kids, up, take them flying. We got into whitewater kayaking for a while.
Oh my goodness.
So we did that just while we were retired here, start 60s. And of course, now it's just my husband, he's had a lot of surgeries and things, so he's not able to deal with it. So we haven't for the last probably 3 or 4 years. But up till then, we were going to Colorado every summer and whitewater kayaking. And
oh my goodness. You literally must have been the coolest school teacher these kids had ever seen. You're showing them parachutes. You're taking them flying. You're telling them about your whitewater rafting trips. I mean, come on.
But and it was kayaking, not rafting. We had our kayaks, and in fact, we carried them around because we'd go there. And we biked, we did a lot of biking and hiking. So it just kept getting into different things.
Nice. Now, what got you back into skydiving? What made you decide you wanted to jump again?
Well, let's see. My husband kind of continued skydiving through the whole period, not a whole lot because, we're from Kansas again in that area and not a lot going on.
Sure.
But he did continue. And then about that time, our daughters kind of showed an interest and decided they wanted to jump. So the oldest daughter did, whoops, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's quite all right.
Turn that off. They wanted to do jumping. We had this friend from South Africa. And so he came out to our land there in Wichita area and took the oldest daughter out. And then the youngest daughter, she wasn't old enough to go to, I should whisper, to a drop zone, but she wanted to jump. So he also took her out on our property. And I thought, I'm going to go do that too. So I went up and did a tandem with him. And then I thought, well, things have changed. So the equipment you wear, the mechanisms, everything has changed so much that maybe I ought to try it again.
Sure.
And so started again back in Kansas as well. Of course, the maze was long gone by then. And so we had drop zones in Rose Hill, which is east of Wichita, and a little cow pasture, Stuppiesville, which was west of Wichita.
Okay.
So I went out and started jumping again. This time it was pilot assist, not static line, but pilot assist. And so I just started jumping, and I actually have to admit, I was afraid I probably took me 200 jumps before I really started feeling comfortable in this sport.
Wow.
I see people go out and they're just looped right onto it and, 2 and 3 jumps, but it took me a while. But, now I totally, enjoy it. And it's just all the friends, we've met.
Sure.
Through our travels. It's just been a super great sport to be in.
It took me a long time to get comfortable with it too. And it was, especially growing up in the time that I did, guys are supposed to be macho and all that. But I was constantly having to fight this fear to get myself to go skydiving. And it probably took just as many jumps, 150, 200 jumps before I forgot to be scared. And I don't know about you, the fear never ever really left me. It just became more of a control for me. It was a tap on the shoulder going, hey, stupid, don't do anything dumb out there today. But it never ever left. And it took me a long time to get comfortable with jumping.
Yeah. And I'm probably the same way because, I still, thoughts pass through, it's not like I just go out, woo, here I go. I'm always, thinking, and there's always the thoughts back, but it's just that the fun of it and the camaraderie and everything that goes with it,
sure,
just outweighs it.
I was going to say, is that what you think kept you in it? Because it's certainly what kept me in it was the community and the joy after the jump was what kept me in it.
Well, I'm not sure what kept me in it, but I'd see everybody else having a great time. I mean, they were so happy after their jumps and so excited to go back, and I'm thinking, I think at some time this becomes fun and not so scary.
Isn't that funny? Human beings are so strange that we'll continue to do something that just scares the living hell out of us because maybe there's something a little later.
Right.
It's such a strange thing. So now, obviously, eventually you retire from teaching and you guys decide to do the RV thing.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Out of Kansas and around the country?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we'd always planned to, RV. And so my husband, of course, he was a firefighter, he was a public education arson investigator. And
oh, wow.
And he retired before I did. So he was just waiting around for me to retire. And I took early retirement. And we got our RV. We sold our place. We had a nice place in the country, 60 acres and nice home and everything. And we sold it and went to a little, a little fifth wheel. And we did a lot of traveling. The first year, we thoroughly explored Texas and the East Coast. We went and we totally explored Texas because at the same time we started our RVing, my youngest daughter joined the Air Force.
Oh, wow.
And so we took her down for her shipping out point, which was Oklahoma City. And then she was doing her basic in San Antonio. So we thought we'll just follow on down there and stay there so we can go to her graduation. So while we wait for her, we jumped at all the little drop zones. We tried to hit all the drop zones at that time and waited around till she graduated. And then we were going to go west. And it's a funny story because, we bid our tearful farewell to our daughter saying, okay, I'm not sure, because she was going east to Biloxi, Mississippi for her next training. And we were heading west. And so we said, well, I'm not sure when we'll see you, but blah, blah, blah. We'll keep in touch, Well, she had left. This was on New Year's Eve, and we were leaving the next day on New Year's Day. And as we were driving out, we thought, we haven't toured the East. We don't know much about the East. Let's go east instead of west. So we followed her to Biloxi, set up in camp there, and then managed to get on base. I have a way of getting, because she wasn't there. She wasn't signed in yet. And I'd say, I know she's here because she left. She's on her way. So we found finally, the guy said, well, we don't have her in any place, but if she's here, she'll be at this particular building. So you can go on in and check her out. And so I went up to the counter there in this building and I said, I'm looking for my daughter, a name. And they said, we don't have her list. I said, I'm pretty sure you do. But and it just so happened that a friend of hers was walking by at the time and went up and told her, because she was in a room, and said, hey, your mother's downstairs looking for you. So now, because, here's this supposed to be mature military girl and her mommy's here.
Now, were you thinking that when you showed up?
No, I mean, I didn't think I was been going through all that. But anyway, she said, how in the world did you get here? Nobody's supposed to be allowed in this building. And I said, oh, well, they let me in somehow. So anyway, we spent the time there and we jumped there and spent a while there. And then we went on down to Florida and spent the biggest share of the winter down there. And then and my husband was flying down there in Lake Wells. So he was flying the otters and the Costa. And
your husband's an otter pilot.
What?
Your husband's an otter pilot.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I now officially love your husband. I've been flying the Otter for a long, long time. So the fact that he started jumping way back when, did all these amazing things, and he's an Otter pilot, he's now my new favorite person. You guys
Oh,
are both,
good.
you're my new favorite couple. This is ridiculous. So I got to ask just briefly, how did he start flying and how did he end up flying jumpers? Was it just because I got started flying jumpers because I was a skydiver that had a pilot's license. And of course, somebody grabbed me and said, we don't have a pilot, get in that plane and go. Was that how it was
Right.
for him too?
Uh, More or less, yes. Now he started because he was in the military, so he got his GI Bill. So he used it. Well, he had to get his private, and then he used his GI Bill to get his commercial and his multi-engine and instructors and all those other ratings.
Amazing.
And then, yes, he was flying the 182s there in Kansas. The jumpers at Subiesville and Rose Hill whenever they needed a pilot. And he's a tail dragger. He's because we had a couple planes, both were tail draggers. He had a Luscombe when I met him, and then we bought a Cessna 140. So he really enjoys the tail dragger. And then when we went to Florida, they were needing some pilots down there. And so we got acquainted with Jim West. Do you know Jim West?
I know the name for sure.
Yeah, well, he was flying there at Lake Wells and they needed some pilots. So they said, do we have anybody here that can fly? And then they needed a co-pilot for the Costa. And of course, John says, let me think a minute. Oh, yeah, here I am. So that's where he got started flying the Otters. And so he flew quite a bit there. And then he flew up in West Point, Virginia at the drop zone.
Wow.
And then just different places where they might need a pilot.
Nice.
So yeah, he got started with the military and then continued on, and then we had our own.
Sure.
So
now, for you personally, what's your favorite type of skydiving? Like, what's your discipline for the most part?
Pretty much belly flying, RW.
Cool.
The last probably 6-7 years, I've tried to get into free flying. And I kind of have a sit. I can sit pretty good. I just can't maneuver my sit. Usually people are way off in the yonder, but every once in a while I get pretty close. But I really, I'll sit as much just because I think that's a skill. I like to build new skills.
Sure.
And so I'm doing the sitting and the back flying, not enough to be any good at it, because it's hard for me to break away from RW because I enjoy the group flying in the air.
Sure. Well, the benefit for me anyway to different disciplines that you're not any good at is the best part about skydiving is you don't have to be good to have fun. Sit flying is a blast just because it's a different perspective. It's weird looking at the world through your feet.
Yes.
It's just a lot of fun. And so you don't have to be any good at it to really have a blast with it.
Yeah. And like I said, it's just getting yourself oriented to a different perspective.
Sure.
Of the earth, and that's the hardest thing because head down, I'll go out with who's ever jumping with me and they'll take me out head down, but I'm so disoriented when I'm there. So I haven't even been able to do any of that on my own. But
have you got people running up and grabbing you for jumps like that and trying to take you head down and do a bunch of different stuff?
Not so much. I did go through their rookie training. And so everybody gets, excited. They've got the old lady out here. I even made the centerfold in parachutist one year when I was at the rookie state with me in my little sit position.
That's epic, though. I mean, again, I think it's a testament to the sport that it's all of us see ourselves being skydivers for life, right? Once you're a jumper, you're a jumper. Whether you're actively jumping or not, you are always a skydiver. So the dream for everybody is to be be able to get older and older and continue to jump. You know, like one of my heroes and still one of my biggest heroes in skydiving is Lou Sanborn. I mean,
Oh yeah.
licensed D1. I mean, talk about a badass. The guy's just amazing. And when I first started in the sport, one of my highlights as a very young jumper was being able to shoot a 4-way video that Lou was jumping on, because the guy was just larger than life. And it turned out he was just a really nice guy. You know, I mean, he'd sit and talk with you and tell you about all these experiences. And so that's the dream, at least the way I see it, is young skydivers want to keep growing up to become old skydivers with all the great stories, you know?
Yes. Yeah. I appreciate that from people around here, because I mean, you know, the girls, they want to grow up to be like Alice.
Yes.
So I appreciate their
shit. I want to grow up to
praise.
be like Alice. Are you kidding me? That's amazing. So how often are you jumping now? Because obviously you're going to Eloy on a regular basis, and you know all the usual suspects and everything. So you clearly spend a lot of time out in Eloy. So how often are you getting out there, and how much are you jumping now?
Well, we're usually out here from like late October to after Easter in April.
Okay.
And now I used to try to get out more during the week, but I've got so many things I've got to get done. So I get out usually every weekend, and I'll make, you know, if the weather permitting, you know, I make anywhere from 8 to 10 jumps every weekend.
Really?
So usually, you know, average day, maybe 4 jumps, a really super day, maybe 6 jumps. And
that's fantastic.
So, and I don't try to do a lot during the week, except when people say, hey, I'm going to be here during the week on Wednesday or Thursday. Let's see if we can get together. Then I'll go out and try to jump, you know, during the week. But
Sure.
Normally, because like I said, I go to Zumba and I do line dance, and, you know, got to do some household chores in between. So.
Well, I mean, it's skydiving is a great life, but it's not all about skydiving. There's a whole bunch of other things that go into being able to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I do quite a bit of hiking around here as well.
Nice.
You know, the famous peak here, Picacho Peak. That's my monthly hike.
Nice.
So I make it up there. You know, I think I'm going to have 2 or 3 this next month, but usually we go up and we'll get a group of people and we'll make it our monthly trip.
Nice.
And,
so now, one of the big listener groups that I picked up recently, there's a Facebook group called the Beginner Skydiving Forum, and it's from all around the world. I think it's got like 35,000 members, all of whom are these new and up and coming skydivers, you know, from not even having started AFF up to maybe a few hundred jumps, maybe 1,000 at the most. And a lot of them always have questions for people that have been jumping for quite some time. So you're the perfect person to ask. What do you think is a good mentality to have to maintain longevity in the sport, to keep that interest? Because obviously, if you're jumping every weekend and still going like you are, you clearly love what it is we do. So what's your personal secret to longevity in skydiving?
I'm trying to think. You know, I think is just to keep it fun. You know, I see a lot of people and a lot of the teams, now teams keep going, but I've seen so many teams that have turned jumping into work. And when it turns into work, then they go so hard at it that they fade away and just totally drop out. I've seen so many of them do that. And I think if they can keep it fun, at least bring some fun back into it, even if they're working at the sport, if they can find time to just go out when it's fun and to be consistent, because I know that was something when I started, is being consistent. Because like, you know, you said you were scared and I was scared, and the longer you lay off, the more scared you get. And
Sure.
You can find every excuse under the sun to say, oh, I can't get out today because I've got to file my nails or something, you know. And so you've got to be consistent until you can get it going and feeling natural with it and good with it.
Sure.
Because if you go out as a beginner once a month or once every 2 months, you're not going to get over that. You're not going to get those skills instilled in you. And then it's always going to be a dreaded thing to do.
Sure.
So,
Well,
yeah,
and
I think
I think you hit on it earlier too. Another big thing to keep people into it is the community of it. I mean, obviously, you more than anyone would know that the community can be it's a lifelong community. I mean, these are friends for life, and that's kept me in it more than anything else is the people.
yeah, it's fun when we go because like here we get all the Northerners and Europeans. And then if we go like in that first year of traveling, we're jumping here and we met these people and then we go up to Canada and we meet the same people and it's like home, it's like home wherever you go because
Instantly.
you see the people you've met at different places and they're always so welcoming, it's just a fun thing.
For sure. I mean, I've said it before. I think there's not too many countries in the world where I couldn't find a couch to crash on because I've been lucky enough to meet amazing athletes literally from around the entire planet that all bond around skydiving. Different backgrounds, different cultures, different everything. But we all have one thing in common that we love jumping out of airplanes and the people that do it.
Yes, and I think that is the amazing thing. Like you said, people are from different cultures, different economic backgrounds, different everything. And yet, when we're out here, we're all on the same level pretty much. And we're all just friends. You forget you're talking to a millionaire, when you're out there jumping in the air with him or, so
Sure.
it makes like you say, it's a nice camaraderie that we get.
Sure. Now, do you think that any of those basketball players from your high school are still playing basketball?
That's just it. That's the neat thing about this sport, which I tell people, it's not so age particular,
No.
like a lot of your sports that they were champions in. Now they're just couch potatoes watching it rather than participating. And with this sport, we can keep participating for quite some time.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you had mentioned before we started the podcast a couple of amazing people, Omar Ahijalan and Craig Gerard, both of whom were heroes of mine just as I was getting started in the sport. And then not that many years later, I call both of them friends, and it's this amazing thing where you're not just able to look up to the people that came before you, but you're able to have fun with them and become friends with them because they just want more people to come jump with.
Yes. And I think someone had mentioned that we were talking a while back about how we can be friends with these people, even though they're the top stars, they're pros, they're revered by everybody. And yet you can walk right up to them and have a nice conversation or even go jump with them.
Yep.
And you wouldn't do that in tennis or football. I mean, those pros, they're not going to even touch you,
No.
You
I can't think of another sport that's like that. I mean, how many peewee kids in baseball, can run right up to a Major League Baseball player and start playing catch with them? It just doesn't happen, so it really is incredible. And that's one of the joys about the fact that skydiving is still a relatively small sport, right? I mean, it's huge compared to what it used to be, but it's still very, very teeny, which is nice.
Yes, that is small and comfortable and,
so
good friends there.
Tell people if they want to come out and jump with Alice, when they come jump with Alice, when are they going to find you out in Eloy? You're out there from when to when? And if you're not in Eloy, where are you heading off to?
We're usually here from, like I say, end of October till mid-April. And you could pretty much just go up to the manifest and say, are the Hickses here? Are the Kansas Hicks here? And and they can say, yes, they're here. Or they haven't been out today, or they're up in the air.
I bet that happens an awful lot, though. I mean, honestly, especially now that I've talked to you, I can't imagine that you don't have a line of people trying to get on a load with you.
Well, I'm not sure.
Yep. You know it. That's good. Alice, I cannot tell you how grateful I am that you took the time to sit down and talk with me. This is one of the most pleasant chats I've had in a very, very long time.
Well, thank you. I've thoroughly enjoyed it as well.
Please give massive hugs to everybody at Eloy. Give Mike a big high five for me for taking that shot. I'm so pleased that I saw that picture, and I can't wait to release this episode so other people can hear more about you.
Yes, I did go tell Mike after, you contacted me. I said, Mike, your picture just got me a new Facebook friend. And he said, oh, yeah, I know him. He said, into all this, and
Yep.
He's a good guy. And so.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, actually, Mike and I are going to sit down and I interviewed him not that long ago, and we're going to have a second chat here coming up. So it'll be really nice. But you remind him I'm going to be calling him soon.
Okay.
All right, Alice, thank you so much. Wait, is that the otter pilot standing right behind you?
That is the otter pilot. Yes.
You, sir, are a steely-eyed missile man. I absolutely love it. Otter pilot.
Me there?
As soon as she told me that not only were you a skydiver back in the 60s, but that you're an otter pilot as well, I fell instantly in love with you guys.
Hey, I started jumping 59. Don't short me there.
Seriously? All right. 59 and an otter pilot. You are my new favorite pilot.
King Airs and Costas. Remember that?
Oh, hell yes, man.
I say he's a pilot.
She was my first student.
I did tell him
So
that.
she's a private, but she gets a recognition. And she made fun of me the other day. She said, I'm the only husband she knows that started from the bottom and went down. Look at those faces. It's hard to tell which is me in there. It's like looking in the mirror.
Well, that's amazing. Well, guys, thank you so much. And Alice especially, thank you so much. You guys enjoy the day. I see the sun shining through the window. I hope you get to go get some air real soon.
It looks like a nice day. And thank you so much. I really appreciated your
Beautiful.
visiting.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
All right.
And there you have it. Another episode of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void, brought to you as always by, and say it with me, fuck yeah, NZ Aerosports. Head to nzaerosports.com. By Pussfoot. That's right, head to pussfoot.com, the extreme sports collective, and check out everything they've got to offer. By summitparachutesystems.com. Jarrett Martin and the family cranking out amazing pilot rigs, as well as incredible rigging courses. And now joining the Lunatic team, it's the one and only Tony Suits. You know him, you love him. Head to tonysuit.com. Check out all the amazing standards, as well as the new incredible signature line they've got going on. And as for us, the Lunatic Fringe is now on YouTube. That's right, you're going to have the chance to put faces to the audio by heading to youtube.com and looking up the Lunatic Fringe podcast. It's easy. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check out all the amazing videos from the previous guests that we've had, as well as new and upcoming interviews on video. As always, I am the fucking pilot. Head to thefuckingpilot.net or theprincesspilot.com. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time around.